Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, we are going to continue. Before the VC left, we had our keynote address from architect of Razzmatazz, sustainable architecture, and my friend and sister, architect Professor Evelyn Alu Kanku. And we want to first of all invite the chair of this session, in person of architect Professor Sanital Adamu, to come up. Professor Adamu, please. And in case, yes, please, you can come up, please. So, it's an unusual chairman. So, while he's coming up, we will just have a few minutes because we will have a hybrid program, and I know a number of people may want to do one thing or the other. So, according to the program, we are going to have some input and discussion around the very important presentation we listened to shortly. And from there, we will go on and have the keynote from Professor Auwalu. And after that, we will have a hybrid one from Professor Warabi, who is an alumnus of the University of Jos. And after that, we have a very important demonstration. I wish the students will not go far. We are going to have a demonstration. Yes, so while we are taking responses to Professor Alukankum's paper, yes, we will be preparing. I don't know how we are going to carry that heavy thing in, but this is a colloquium. We have to stroke ourselves, our minds, our understanding, and we'll take it from there. We're looking forward to input from the NIA and also from MOTNA and other departments. This is the built environment. And as I look around, I can see people that have made an impact. You students may not realize it, but seated in this room, we have about a millennia of experience. If I put the experience of people like Professor Proknal Ogunshote, I'm sure many of you don't know that the only textbook on environmental climatology and anything like that for Nigeria is written by herself and her husband. But check it. One of the things I'm privileged to do in the Architects Resourcery is to provide support for people that write books. And that book is still the reference. Prof, when was that book written? The one that you and Prof did? It was Prof, where, you know, behind every Prof is a Prof Mrs. Yes, and the other way around. So that was in the 80s. That book was written over 40 years ago. And it's still an industry reference. So I think, Professor Adamu, I'd like to hand over to you, and we'll start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the chairperson of this. I'm not sure if we are going to take the next two papers. And after that, I think we give some few minutes for questions and comment or contributions. So for us not to waste too much time, I would like to find out if the next paper is on the topic of Le Corbusier's Cabanon, a modular approach to architecture and furniture design integration. Speaker, Professor Jenko Barkin. Professor Jenko Barkin. So he's not available? So we'll go to the next speaker, who is Professor Auwalu Umaru. Auwalu Umaru will speak on artificial intelligence in architecture. That is exploring artificial intelligence potentials in design optimizations and predictive analysis. He is going to speak on AI, that is artificial intelligence potentials in design optimization and predictive analysis. So let me please call on Professor Auwalu to come over and give us his, present his paper. Thank you very much, Prof.
Good afternoon. The Vice Chancellor, who has already taken his leave. The Dean also, who has taken his leave. The grandfather of architecture, Professor Zanzan Uji, seated here. The HOD. I wish to stand on the existing protocol. And I'm here to present a paper on integrating AI or artificial intelligence into architectural design workflow. The topic has been slightly adjusted somehow, but I think we'll all follow. While we wait for that to come on, in 2019, through the use of artificial intelligence, a project that would have taken perhaps not less than a year to conceive, design, do the proper documentation, and present to a client was done in less than 3 weeks. That project was none other than design of a skyscraper that is 190 meters high. That particular project was done by Zaha Hadid Architects. In it all, the power of AI was used, demonstrated, and enhanced effectively. Next slide, please. Before the turn of the century, architecture was deemed to have been in the traditional method. But lucky enough, at the turn of the century, brought about the birth of what is called the Industrial Revolution, where we have digital revolution coming in. With the coming of digital revolution, that gave birth to the use of digital technology in virtually every sphere and every aspect of life. From there, architecture tapped into that resources. And that gave birth to digital architecture. And with it came in these two distinctive fields. The fields of software and hardware development. today we are at the AI age. I know we have fears. We have concerns. Is technology going to take over? But I'll say this. At first, there were a lot of skepticism that using computers will have a complete loss of touch or lose what is called hand touches to design. I'm sure quite a number of us possibly here would have expressed that. But today is no more. That is no longer the story. Next slide, please. Presently, the drive in BIM also had its own fair share of skepticism from people. What are the concerns here? The concern here is loss of architectural artistry through the use of computers and softwares. We're still moving on. It's AI we're talking about. What are the fears here? We're having a more dangerous fear, which is, will AI take over from the architect? AI will not take over from the architect. AI will only improve what the architect will be doing. Next slide, please. This has been the journey part. It was analog, went digital. At digital, we're able to develop both 2D and 3-dimensional application of designs in computer. From there, we moved to digital architecture, all with the times and timeline and what have you. AI, artificial intelligence, is a transformative tool. It is expected that it should enhance your design conceptualization, design itself, and execution of the design process. Presently, the application of AI in architecture is mostly at the early stage of the design. Next slide, please. Artificial intelligence, AI, is simply the use of machine or computers to mimic what the human does. By way of learning and using independent thinking through the learn process and taking decisions and producing designs. Presently, as we speak, AI is doing a good job in this aspect, as it can stimulate design and produce various alternatives in a snap of the fingers. Today, as we speak, the areas in which AI has developed include the modularity design approach, computational design approach, parametric design approach, as well as generative design approaches. Next slide, please. AI being a transformative tool has impacted architecture in several ways. That include accelerated design process, enabling data-driven decision-making, advanced sustainable design, enhancing visualization and client communication, improving construction accuracy and efficiency, as well as facilitating collaboration and integration. AI has the ability to provide all this. In other words, AI is augmenting what the human does by enabling data-driven decision-making, as well as providing adequate sustainability. In it all, as we speak today, AI exists in two forms. The application of AI in architecture exists in two forms. The embedded, which is usually remote and software specific, as well as cloud-based approaches. In the embedded remote system, here we have the AI tool being installed as a plugin to an existing software platform that is remotely installed on a system. While in the cloud-based services, this AI tool is used as an online tool where design solutions are generated using the internet. Example like the use of Midjourney. Relevance of AI. There's no doubt that AI is very relevant in architecture because it has the ability to provide enhanced creativity, optimize design processes, improve project outcome and delivery, automate repetitive and tedious tasks, increase efficiency. The list will go on and on and on. Next slide, please. What we have before us are some selected AI-enhanced projects that each and every one of them, a particular aspect of the AI tool was used to achieve. The first that we have on the far left or top left is just a conceptualization where AI tool using series of algorithms was able to generate these ideas from which the architect can build. Second top right is one of the entries by architect Zaha Hadid. This is the design of an airport in Shenzhen, China. Here, the choice of material and how the material will look like is what the AI was able to produce and provide for. While the bottom left, we can see a concept also. This is using geometric shapes. AI was able to generate this, and the architect was able to follow up with the development of the project. Thereafter, is a project that was designed, completed, and commissioned as a smart building called the Decaded Tower in Oyo. While the last but not the least is one of the features we're looking with the AI, which is analysis and simulation. On this project, the emphasis is on structural stability. And in it, AI was used to generate and simulate how the building would be and what are the required structural elements to make this building stable. Next slide, please. This is a table that shows the use and integration of AI in all the various stages and phases of design, with specific tools in mind, with the tools principle, as well as the objectives of each of these tools. What is it designed to do, and how does it do it? Next slide, please. Today, AI is used in architecture in several ways. At the conceptual level, at the design development level, as well as at the point of interaction, coordination, and collaboration between the professionals. At each of these levels, we have key indicators or key parameters that are checked. At the conceptual level, we are leveraging on AI tools' generative power to generate images and provide visuals. While at the design development stage, we can test energy use. Energy simulation can be done in terms of how much energy is required, how the energy can be used, and how can it be sustained as well. Then we do also environmental analysis, impact analysis at the design development stage. So also would it be at the design, documentation, and administration level. We have a lot of AI tools to leverage from there as well. Next slide, please. There's no doubt that AI have advantages. And before us are a couple of those advantages that AI provide in terms of its use in architecture. That include creative exploration and innovations, data-driven design optimization, time saving and money saving, safer design and work environment. The list can go on and on and on and on. Next slide, please. Now, the discussion here is on the integration of AI tool in an architectural design workflow. If I may ask a question, each and every one of us here will have a particular workflow. The emphasis of this discussion or this presentation here is, at what point do you need what AI? As it is, a workflow is simply a structured process that guides design and development of building projects from conception to completion. This may vary depending on projects and then depending on individuals and personalities. Usually a typical workflow will cover the pre-design stage, conceptual design stage, design development stage, construction phase, post-construction phase. The use of AI tool in the workflow ensures that project meet functional and aesthetical values, as well as meet regulatory and environmental restrictions. AI can provide suitable design that can meet all these requirements. Next slide, please. As we know it, next slide, please. This is a typical workflow in architecture that includes activities at the pre-design stage, where research and analysis are conducted, activity at the conceptual design stage, which is usually what we call the schematic design stage, and then the design development stage. We have the documentation stage, tendering and bidding, construction administration, and project completion and handing over. This is the sequence. For the purpose of this discussion, items that are highlighted in red, I hope we can see them anyway, are those that we're trying to talk about and show that leveraging on the power of AI can enhance it. Therefore, at the level of conceptual design, AI can be employed completely, 100%, as well as the design development stage. Next slide, please. Next slide. Therefore, this is what an enhanced workflow will look like, while taking only the conceptual development stage and the visualization stage. Here we can optimally benefit from the power of AI. Next slide, please. There's a question here. This is always the question that is asked. Why change to a tool when the present and the current tool you are using is performing? It's a question a lot of people ask. And the answer lies in the advantage and the benefit that one stands to gain by using AI tool. Next slide, please. I want to ask a question at this point. Who is using AI here? Can I see you have some hands? General use. General use. General use. Almost everybody. For those who think they are not using AI, if you remember what we said, the power of AI that we're leveraging on, one of them is predictive. And one of the earliest application of AI that we can see, that we can remember, is in text messages using Androids. Already by use of a particular phone, as we said, AI is trained. For the fact that AI is trained and can now act, as you type in, there are specific words that automatically your phone will just keep predicting and suggesting to you. So all you need to do is just keep picking, and you are there. Isn't it? So it means everybody here is using AI. But who are those here presently How many people are using AI for architecture? How many people are using AI for architecture? No, I want to see them, so I ask them what area are they using it for? I'm waiting. You're using AI for architecture. Oh. As we said, AI can be used in virtually all fields of endeavor. It can be used for architecture. It can be used in architecture on the design workflow. It can be used in specific areas. AIs have challenges as we speak. One of the key drawbacks, I haven't asked even those who are using AI here, I think is the Gen Zs that I've seen raising their hands. Because it tends to have a high learning curve. The learning curve is high. The Gen Zs are able to catch up easier than the millennials and our old cargos. Sorry to say that. Specific algorithms are written to be biased. I can cite a case of one of our latest entry into the PhD comrades. I can spot two of them here. Whose study involved the analysis of energy. Who unfortunately we couldn't have data that can support what we're doing. So one of the drawbacks of AI at the moment is it's being biased. The algorithms are written with bias. Then the issue of data privacy as well as copyright. With the cloud-based services, concepts can be developed. However, there are ethical questions. Are these images being generated by the AI, not from other sources? Unacknowledged sources. So there's that fear. Ultimately, as far as architecture is concerned, design has a human interface, which AI lacks. In as much as AI can give you a solution to any design problem, twinkle of an eye. AI lack intuition as well as emotional intelligence. It is recommended that rather being afraid of AI, we should embrace it. Explore it. Develop our skill further in the use of AI. Because it stimulates innovation and creativity. Next. Incorporating AI into architectural design process represent a paradigm shift in which technology is actually collaborating with human and computing with human in creativity. Even though AI is still at its infancy as far as architecture is concerned. The use of AI in architecture have reached an advanced stage, especially in the conceptual and the design development phases of architectural design. At this point, it is expected that architects will collaborate with AI and enhance the power and the benefits of AI. Next slide, please. I have mentioned a few earlier on some example of AI-driven projects. We have mentioned that of Zaha Hadid, which was used in the design of a skyscraper. We have also mentioned the use of digital technology to serve. Here, the emphasis on generating images of what the building will look like eventually by Frank Gehry. We also saw one in which the building was designed, a smart building. Next slide, please. There's no doubt that present and very clear impact that AI will have on architectural design workflow. This at the moment will affect everyone and everything. AI at the moment is a tool. The impact has been high, but it's still on the increase. A study carried out by RIBA indicated that at the moment, close to 500 million are using AI. And only about 23% of that usage is in architecture. So we can see the number is quite small. Rapid advances in AI will indeed have major impact on possibility and application of AI in the society. Next slide, please. The trends. With the use of AI today comes in the evolving trend of use of augmented reality and virtual reality, where clients, stakeholders are immersed in the project, having a feel of what the project will be like, what will it look like, and how will it feel like. The use of robotics in construction, the use of IoT, Internet of It. The architect is expected at this point to play a very critical role. That role will be in balancing intuition and the power of AI. Remember, we said AI lack intuition and human touch. Also, the role of the architect here will be to be engaged and continue learning and adapting these tools in his workflow. The fear that we have, AI will replace architects. AI will never replace architects. Rather, AI will help the architects in repetitive tasks, in solving more complex problems with specific and design algorithms that are tailored towards specific projects and specific communities and specific locations. No doubt about it. We can't fight it. The role of the architect is already altered by the advent of artificial intelligence. AI is here to stay. AI is not going anywhere. We need to take time to integrate it into our practice, to benefit and leverage from what it offers. Next slide, please. In conclusion and closing, the key takeaways from this discussion. Ultimately, AI enhances. AI will not take or replaces. Call to action. Experiment. Explore. Use innovative ways to integrate AI into your workflow as an architect. Adopt these tools. Upskill. Train. Get trained and retrain in the area of the use of this technology. For our institutions, integrate AI in education. Integrate and use AI for research and curriculum development. Engagement and interactivity. What is your typical architectural design workflow? It is you who knows how your cycle of design is. It is you who will know where to place yours. As I said, AI is here to stay. AI will be with us. Integrate AI into your workflow. Plan to do that in the nearest future. Now look at your practice. Look at your design exercises in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Look at your workflow. Look at the available tools. Think of where to integrate them into your design process. An AI enhanced architectural workflow will no doubt increase creativity. It will not replace it. We have had this fear ever since the advent of technology. That technology, when it takes over, creativity is dead. Thank you.
Professor Auwalu, for your very beautiful presentation. Let me remind you that we had the first paper by Professor Auwalu Umaru, and we said we would take questions, possibly contribution, after the second speaker. Now, we've just had a presentation on artificial intelligence. Thank God, our own intelligence is natural. Our own is NI, not AI. So I think we will have questions, I'm sure, because I see the issue of this AI will have a lot of challenges. For example, if we look at it at, in African continent, especially with our experience here in Africa or in Nigeria in particular, I can see a kind of connection between even the first speaker and this topic, because sustainability, as we know, as she has said, the first speaker has pointed out, is a relationship between human being and nature, human being and the environment. But with this AI, what is the relationship between this AI and the environment? How will the AI respond to our sustainability? I mean, these are questions that I think some of us need to think about. So I think maybe I will allow questions for the first paper. If there are questions on the first paper, please come forward. Questions? Questions, please. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Loud enough. I am Uji Zanzan Makaka. I'm the grand old man around here. Now, the concept of AI has generated a lot of furore. The concept of AI has generated a lot of furore. What I notice is that whatever people can't really understand, they allocate it to AI. And it's going to bar, it's going to deaden our senses of analysis. That's my fear. It seems to me, one of the people who invented, or shall I say generated AI, recently resigned. Because he was scared. I don't know whether you mentioned it. Okay, you mentioned it. Okay, he resigned because he was scared that the robots that have become part of AI have or are going to acquire more intelligence than human beings. And he foresees a situation where it will go beyond, it will escape it being held back. Nobody can hold it anymore. The robots will now take over everything. You won't have any jobs anymore. You won't have any thinking anymore because the robots have taken over. Now, what do you intend to do about that? I just showed you something here. Look at that. Ordinarily, what imagine, it's a video. Let it play. Ordinarily, would imagine it's human or forms from outer space. But now it's been allocated to AI. So what do? Don't they are facing understand the value or the of AI? I don't know whether you're going to react to that, but I'm worried because if it takes over everything, we don't have any thinking anymore. We don't have any ability to analyze things anymore. Whatever you don't understand, you say, where is AI? Even the making on this is that, don't worry. What do you do about that?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Prof has actually pointed out an issue. This AI will eventually make us like robots. We human beings will become robots. Yes, we become like mechanical machines, because our emotions, our thinking, this thing will just, everything will be captured by AI. So we'll just be dormant. We'll just actually be not thinking straightforward, not thinking correctly. So I think this is one of the challenges I think we need to look at. Thank you, Prof. Any other question or contribution from the floor? Please. Whether in the first paper or in this second paper. Well, if there is none, I think we'll go to the next paper. Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to respond? Okay.
At the turn of the century, light of the technology, one of the first things with the introduction of computers for simple, what were the fears? People are no longer going to, because we're not using our hands. It's just a perception. The fears expressed, I think one of the vice presidents of one of the AI that Prof is referring to, he is expressing fears in the algorithms, not in the robots themselves. Now, I have actually mentioned it, that algorithms, and these algorithms can be biased. But remember, an AI learn from what it's doing constantly. The angle of fear has been, after learning this, it has the ability to learn more. For those of us who are using AI, especially and predictive test AIs, you find out that when you ask a question, even as simple as Meta is, the WhatsApp version of the AI tool integrated into WhatsApp, you find out that it always remembers the last question you ask and continues from there. For every tool that will be developed, there will always be this fear. And naturally speaking, the fear is real. Because the thinking is, how about this if this gets to a hand or to the wrong hands? This has been the concern. For us in architecture, I think we have little or no fear. Why? Because if we're thinking, at any point, we can change. Because remember what I mentioned. AI lacks that human touch. It lacks emotion. It lacks social and community understanding. So it's a limit. There's a limit to which it will go. But generally speaking, that was what was portrayed in the early 90s. When Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, film was developed then, it was developed along the same, where you have a machine that can take over. But we saw and we realized that the machine was not able to take over completely. Oh. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Then any other? Okay.
Thank you very much. I actually want to commend the first speaker because I noticed that she has covered very comprehensively the issue of sustainability. She didn't touch just one platform, but it was on several different levels. And I just want to give her the credit, and I want you to take note that the levels she has touched, each one deserves separate paper, separate presentation, and or even books, volumes of material can be presented on each one, and that she was able to do it. So she touched on building material, on art of human relations, ergonomics, green technologies, and so on. And when we come to the second topic by Professor Auwalu, I must say it's a topic that is of interest to everybody. It's a hit. And I could see how attentive everyone to the topic. And yes, he did justice to it. I only want to say dependence of can lead us example, if you ask questions, chat a question, fake question, it will sound correct. And if you are know your field, you and basically I just want to warn us, your creativity can never be replaced. United here about we should be critical about still make use of it, but with a pinch of salt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. She has, make some comments on the first paper and also the second paper. And the one thing I always remind us, especially remind our students, is that the way to learn is to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, you will never learn. That is a fact. You must ask questions. As students, you must ask questions if you want to learn. So don't have any feeling. If you don't understand anything, ask questions. All of us here, we are a family. We are your teachers. We are with you. So don't have any feelings. Please, if you have questions, ask that questions. Thank you very much. Okay.